of Black women. My name is Sara Guzman. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm one of the art and activist interns at the Cross Cultural Center. Today, we'll be showcasing the art of Marianata, also known as Maria Sylvaince. And before I start this presentation, I'd like to mention that we're using the closed captioning. It's going to be on, but they won't be perfect or capture everything correctly, and we apologize for that. We're going to start off with a land acknowledgement, as UC San Diego sits on the unceded territory and traditional homelands of the Kumeyaay people. We, as members of the UC San Diego community, must acknowledge the legacy of the Kumeyaay people. We also acknowledge that even as we work from home, we are still occupying Indigenous lands. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor the original people of this land. Thank you. And I would like to mention that it's important to know whose land you're currently occupying. I'm currently still in the San Diego and Imperial Valley area, so I'm still occupying Kumeyaay people land, but I do recommend looking into whose land you're currently occupying. So about the artist, we'll be featuring the work of Marianata, also known as Sam or Maria. She's a New York City-based self-taught Haitian digital artist that creates abstract illustrations portraying the confidence and diverse styles and personalities of Black women. And she'll be discussing more about herself in detail. Her Twitter and Instagram are at iartsysam, and her email is contact@artsysam.com, as well as her website is on there where you can buy her artwork, artsysambigcartel.com, and we'll add those on to the later part of the presentation. We're also, we found it necessary to add a content warning, as some of the work featured and talked about today will go over issues that may be triggering for some as they deal with physical and sexual assault. And because of this, it's totally okay if you need to exit the Zoom room for a second or hop back in whenever you feel comfortable. And we're going to get started. Marianata, if you'd like to introduce yourself and say a few words about how you became an artist or who you are.
Hello, everyone. I am Marianata Sylvaince. I am a 22-year-old Haitian digital artist. I am also a full-time illustration major at the School of Visual Arts in New York. I started digital art probably around 2018. I started based off of my phone, and I started drawing with my fingers, and then I found myself more interested in exploring the craft. So I went to a portfolio preparation program that helped me create a portfolio so that I could apply for art school. Afterwards, I would say that I became more comfortable digitally, and this year I chose to go more in depth into exploring the different aspects of my style, and I explored that in a way that would allow me to tell different stories. So I hope that you enjoy this collection because it was inspired by Black women, and I wanted it to be representative of who we are, what we like in terms of our appearances and in terms of who we are as courageous and bold women. So I hope you enjoy this presentation as much as I will. So for starters, we have B for Boss. B for Boss started this collection. It was actually inspired by Haitian creative Berenice Bijou. I'm not sure if she's a part of the audience. However, I just came across this picture of her on Instagram, and I was, I don't know, it was like this double take. It was like, wow, she looks like a boss. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use this reference picture and depict a boss, which explains the bees. Um, if you guys have, if sorry, if you all have questions, you can send. I feel here. Oh, yeah. Um, if you all have questions, you can send them and I will answer them. If not, we can go to the second slide. No questions. Oh, this seems to have no questions. Second one. E for elegance. E for elegance basically depicts calm elegance. As you can see, the character is sitting on a chair. I'd like to think that she's near a beach, a pool, at a resort, enjoying her life. Um, E for Elegance was very different because I wasn't sure about the colors. I wanted to highlight the fact that how do I put it? I wanted it to feel warm, but not too warm. I also thought of Jamaica as I created this, which explains the colors in the background. Um, this piece was probably my third favorite out of this entire series. Mm, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about this one. Third one, C for Capable. C for Capable was inspired by Coralina Dale, um, also a Haitian creative. Along the way, you all will realize that I use inspiration from a lot of Haitian women and a lot of Haitian creatives because I wanted my art to be representative of my background as a Haitian woman. And I also wanted to represent the women that do inspire me on a daily basis. C for Capable highlights the fact that we as Black women are capable no matter what we're told, no matter how much we may feel like we're not out here doing the things that we're supposed to do. But I feel that at the end of the day, we always persevere and we always achieve the things we seek to achieve the most. For the fourth one is F for Fierce. F for Fierce actually looks a lot like Rihanna. A lot of my friends brought this to my attention. It does look like Rihanna. I started this piece with, I had in mind that I just wanted it to be super fiery and I wanted the letter to be F. I thought about F for Fab, but then the character looks so fierce. I was like, oh, F for Fierce. And I also think that a lot of us Black women do have that fierce side of us that does come out when necessary. And it I don't know, it's like a completion of character. I also made sure I included the Telfar bag. I don't know if you all can see that, but I made sure I included the Telfar bag since around that time Telfar became a huge hit on social media. I thought a lot of other women would like and appreciate it. For the fifth one, we have M from Eternal. M from Eternal was actually inspired by my mom. Um, I think that the hair is looks exactly how my mom's hair looked before she cut it. Um, I wanted to I wanted it to really represent her. And so I went ahead and added, I don't know if you all can see, I added my birth date on her arm. It's the 29 because I was born on September 29. Um, but yeah, I was just thinking of her that one day and I was like, oh, okay, I'll make something inspired by my mom. I hope she likes it when I show it to her. It was very fulfilling all around to create. And it's one of my favorites from this collection. The fifth one, is this the fifth one? I think this is the fourth one. Z for Zesty. Z for Zesty is the most popular piece of this series. A lot of people fell in love with her. At first, oh, actually, this is also a piece that was inspired by Berenice Bijou. However, I turned it around because it to be I didn't want it to be just another picture of her. I wanted to tweak it and make it my own. Hence, I played with the hair, I played with the different stools that she could be sitting on. I played around with the outfit. It gave me room to be very creative with the um, outfit and also the background as well. Which one is the sixth? P for pose. P for pose is also you're all going to hear me say this a lot because they're probably all of my favorites. I really like this one. It was inspired by the show Pose, and the character was India Moore. I really, I really enjoyed whenever she came on the screen. It was, I don't know, she was sassy and just, I loved it. And when I came across this picture, I was like, oh, I gotta draw this. And I took it and I just played around with it. And I added additional claws because I think that Black women look extremely fierce with pointy nails. Um, so that's how this piece came about. T for thick. T for thick is popular. It's quite popular amongst people that look at this series. I'd like to think that it's not for the nudity, but I do think that it is for the nudity. I didn't want it to just be a nude piece. I wanted it to be um not representative of zenness, not representative of calm, but I really wanted it to just be a piece that someone will see, that they'll take the time to look at the features, look at the body and be able to truly appreciate it for what it is. Um it's it was very hard to also pick the background colors because I couldn't make up my mind, and so I ended up just picking random colors that would fit together, and this is the completion of it. For the next one, we have Black and Women. Black and Women was inspired by basically Black women that were going through it as a collective. Because I recall just randomly scrolling through my Twitter timeline, and it was just a lot of cases of um abuse, and I came across all this content that wasn't embracing Black women. It wasn't it's not the type of content that we deserve as women, and it's not the type of treatment that we deserve that as women. And I just wanted to, and I also wanted it to be representative of me. That's that, which explains the checkbox, women and also Black. I wanted every Black woman that came across this piece to feel like they were being represented. And also the semicolon. The semicolon I usually included because it reminds me of continuation. I feel it's just hold. You may be going through it right now, but remember that you're Black and that you're women and that there's nothing that you can't achieve and that there's nothing that you cannot overcome. And it just gave me a lot of satisfaction and a lot of motivation after I finished it. So I hope you all can appreciate it as well. Next one, we have Pink Matter. Pink Matter. Pink Matter was created out of pure boredom. I came across a general selfie. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember the gender of the first reference, but I kind of flipped it around and just turned it into my own. You can tell by the hair color, the glasses, and I kind of left the background Black because I didn't want the attention to go beyond the character. It's just carefree, just enjoy my life. Here's a selfie. Have a great day. um, that's pretty much it for this one. Life is short, get cute. Life is short, get cute came around when I feel that I just started to tap back into my feminine side. And I started, right that time, started wearing dresses again while I went out. I was like, I've been feeling a little feminine. So I wanted it to be a bit different. And I also used white to show that Black women look immaculate in white. It's just something different when you see a Black woman in white. It's just powerful, you know? So I was like, oh, okay, life is short. Get cute. Loki Stylish. Loki Stylish is also another piece that was inspired by a Haitian creative, Melody Woman. Um, Loki Stylish was the beginning of more masculine pieces, because all the previous pieces, the all the women were wearing heels, wearing dresses, but this one, she wearing pants, she wearing sneakers, she's comfortable, still wearing white, still looking powerful and immaculate, but just low-key, just low-key stylish. I really enjoyed this piece. It was also my first time using that particular color as a background. But it was a very bold choice. However, it ended up working. So I am very happy with how it came out. Scrumptious and red. I want everyone to just like take a minute, just look at her. You just, I feel like the caption says everything. That the title, of the piece says everything, but I just after I created this, I just imagined her just casually strolling in and everybody turning around looking at her because that's just what it is. She's scrumptious and red, and she's magnificent. She's confident, and there's this grace. It's just incredible. Um, this is also one of my favorites. I really enjoyed this piece. Great one. What we have next? Okay, so that concludes Scrumptious and Red concludes the first collection that I worked on for this year. The second series is a bit more personal and a bit it tackles more of my childhood trauma, childhood experiences, childhood memories, questions that may have come up during my childhood. Yeah, so this piece is the title is Survivorship, trigger warning. It depicts a young girl. You can see that the clothing is ripped. You can also see that there's blood drips and she's looking back as she's running. I tried to describe that here. This was a very difficult drawing to share because I didn't I didn't I didn't think I didn't know how it would come across. I didn't know what people would think, what people would feel. Um I didn't I also feel that I was worried about posting it because I didn't want the questions that would probably come with it. However, I really enjoyed working on it. My favorite part is the hair. Along the series, you're going to see a lot of how do I say vibe? I don't think the word is vibrational, but you're going to see a lot of energy in terms of hair when it comes to certain of the next pieces. I spent a lot of time on the hair because I think your hair tells a story about who you are, about what you may like, what you may not like. Um, I found it interesting to make this piece as raw as possible, although it probably would be a trigger to somebody. However, I just wanted it to be a moment of release and vulnerability, um, which explains this piece. Sunday Best. Sunday Best by Sunday Best was inspired by um an excerpt that I read. I forgot the name of the book. However, it spoke about how back in the day that the slaves would only be able to go to they would only be able to dress up on Sundays because they have to go to church. So it was like, oh, wow, that's it, it made me feel Um, what I'm looking for. It made me feel like that one thing that Black people were able to cling on to at this particular time because as I read, church was very important. Their connection with God was very important. So they like dressing up. And still I feel that still now, even my Catholic grandma, she loves to dress up. And I was growing up, I would always be told to dress up if I'm going to church because it's the Lord's Day and I have to look the part. Um, this piece was very interesting. Again, the hair, it's the hair for me. um, it's nice, and the shapes. A lot of people question the shapes. The shapes. If you all look at the shapes are depicting the fact that a child is drawing. This is coming from a child that's looking to heal their inner trauma. And that's basically on their path to healing. So it wasn't supposed to be conventional. Supposed to be, it wasn't supposed to look normal. Because I would say that none of my pieces look normal. Um, but Sunday Best was a favorite. For the third one, which do you have? Lack of balance. Lack of balance was a read on myself. Because I'm a Libra and we're supposed to master balance. And I don't think I'm a person that has mastered balance yet. Which depicts the lack of balance. Just there's no linear path here. It's just rocky all the way. And I was like, for a person that's supposed to be all about balance, you do lack a lot of balance. And that's something that I want to work on and that I want. That's a part of myself that I do want to better, which explains on this one. Mommy issues. Mommy issues was inspired by a Haitian parent. I feel that we always talk about daddy issues, but we don't talk enough about mommy issues because they impact us too in their own specific ways. And sometimes it may be subtle, but it always shows. I wanted to depict how the mom's problems, regardless if they're hidden or not, they're bound to affect the child if the mom isn't properly healed. I wanted to show that here, which explains the scruples in the back of both of their heads. For the next one, we have nostalgic days. Nostalgic days came to me on a nostalgic day, I would say. My grandfather actually passed earlier and this year. I was just having a moment where I missed him. So I created this piece. It's actually all of them are my favorite. You don't know what I'm about to say. It's one of my favorites. And that's all there's to say about this one. Love wins. Um, this piece is pretty self-explanatory. Um, However, I think that this piece came about when I was thinking about my neighbors. Um, I wasn't allowed to, the French word would be frequent, but I wasn't allowed to befriend my neighbors because my strict parents didn't deem that they were worthy enough to be my friends, but they were just people that just happened to have been born in circumstances that they had no control over. And they're my friend, they're my friend. And no amount of spanking kept me from being with my friends. So at the end of the day, love won. I'm still friends with all of them, regardless of how much I got spanked for it. So that's the story behind this one. No matter your background, no matter we're all worthy of friendship. Innocence. Innocence basically this depicts a child just innocent, no worries, no responsibilities, just jumping the rope, no cares in the world. It reminds me of when I was younger with no types of responsibilities. And I think we all can relate with the fact that we do often want to go back in time to experience things that we took for granted. And jumping the rope was probably one of the things that I took for granted the most. I was able to do that with friends, carefree, and yeah, just plain innocence. Next one, we have This Is Us. This Is Us is a representation of, I want to say Haitian people, but they might come for me. Because Haitian people, I feel like my neighbors, they were really noisy. Everyone around my neighborhood, noisy, gossiping, and sometimes it would be shameful, a slight bit upsetting, but I feel that I realized that this is us. This is something that we do tend to do, even though not all of us do it. But it's also amusing because Asian people are everywhere in everybody's business. Always wondering, always asking questions. It just really reminded me of home. It reminded me of the drama that although then it may have not been pleasant, but as I recall the memories, it definitely all seems fun now from my standpoint. So this is us. Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper was inspired by a voodoo lore, a voodoo spirit. Voodoo is the primary, was the primary, still is the primary religion in Haiti, aside from Catholicism and all the rest. I wanted it to depict this specific spirit because he's known as the gatekeeper. He's known as the one with all the keys. He's known as the one that opens all the doors to opportunities and things of the sort. I wanted to incorporate more of my culture in this series and also highlight that um um our culture is who we are, and we are protected because of it. We are empowered because of it, and we have that power if we do decide to tap into it. And attaining that power leads us to a fulfilling life, and knowing we are protected by our ancestors, by these specific sets of spirits. So after the research I did, after the knowledge I accumulated, I wanted to incorporate that in my craft, which explains the gatekeeper. Fake Madame. Fake Madame was inspired by an old neighbor of mine. Uh, she passed. I believe she passed away for quite a while now. However, I couldn't make this series without having her in there. She was known as a woman that did whatever she wanted, although she was also an abusive parent, and that was um that was one of my first experiences with actually plain abusive parents. And it was really hard. It was also really conflicting to decide whether I would incorporate her in this series or not, because it was a lot of mixed feelings. This is also somebody that like taught me a lot at a very young age, although she wasn't always the greatest parent to her kids. She also had another side of her that other people she cared about got to see, and I wanted to pay homage to her in a way.
All right, y'all. I believe that was the end of that series. Correct, Maria?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And now we've reached the Q&A section. And I've been looking at the group chat and I know there's already a couple of questions that have been posed, but I'm just going to start us off with the facilitation questions just to get the conversation going. The first one that I have for you is what inspires your series and what does the process of making your series look like?
Um, my series, well, for example, the ladies, then the childhood, those I feel are inspired by the things I feel, the things I think about, the things I admire in people that I would like to cultivate more within myself. Um, and all around um, things that make me feel. And the process of making them look like a lot of confusion, a lot of, well, brainstorming sometimes to figure out composition, how I want things to look, what color I want certain things to be like. And sometimes it can be lengthy, sometimes not. It depends on how the creative process is that day. Does that answer?
Yeah, that answered definitely. And like it made a lot of sense, especially for the second series, for your childhood one, just because you discuss a lot of like intergenerational trauma and just how it's even impacted you to like this moment, right? And causing you to so create these series. And the second question that I have for you is, are you currently working on a new series? And if at all, has COVID-19 impacted your like current creative process?
I'm not currently working on anything. I think I'm done creating for the rest of the year. I think I'm taking a break to focus on other projects that are not um digital art created. So for now, no, I'm not working on anything. As for COVID, I feel like COVID gave me a lot of time. It gave me a lot of time to really discover what my style was, and also what type of art I wanted to do. I feel like it definitely gave me extra fuel to get certain things done in terms of my art career.
All right, and a couple of questions from the Q&A. And folks can also enter the questions through the chat. One of them was from Aaliyah. What was the difficulty level, if any, in creating some of these? Did you experience any creator's block or feel like you weren't getting what you wanted to come across?
Um, so I forgot the first question. What
Okay,
was the first question?
yeah, I can also put it in the chat, I believe. Or what was the difficulty level, if any, in creating some of these pieces?
Um, it wasn't difficult. It wasn't really okay. So maybe it was a little difficult to come up with the different poses. That's why I usually use references because they help a lot. As opposed to me trying to come up with a character at the top of my head. That usually takes me more time if I choose to do it. Um, as for the second part of the question, um, I have had times where I experienced creator's block. I would just shut off the iPad and just come back to it tomorrow, and I'll have a fresh vision of what I want everything to look like. However, I usually give myself 24 hours to I guess go over everything. Say I created today, I usually stay away from it, then I revisit it the next day to see if there's anything I need to change, anything I could do better, and yeah. Oh well.
Okay, and another question was, how have your own struggles and victories contributed to these pieces?
Um I feel that these these two collections um I want to say my struggles helped me my struggles helped me that's a tough question. um I feel like my struggles did inspire some of these pieces in terms of whenever I would feel whenever, for example, if I feel down that day or something, um I would always like try to create at that around that time. I felt that that gave me a sense of fulfillment, and creating through that has gotten me through a lot of um got there it's definitely gotten me through a lot of personal obstacles. um so do my victories, but most of the time I'm not really able to create based on great feelings. I feel that I'm mostly fueled by my pain and like difficult feelings. So that's how I would answer that.
And kind of following what you just responded, another question was, have working on pieces like survivorship helped you start to heal things from your past?
Most definitely. It was definitely a starting point to healing a lot of things um in my childhood. And I feel that I achieved healing as I completed that specific series. So it was it was great.
Yeah, because I'm personally like I'm not an artist, but I can imagine that just having to deal with these difficult feelings and then creating stuff like based off of them, you must, I don't know, like be very vulnerable with yourself like throughout the entire process.
It's it's definitely hard, and also even sharing it. It's at times it takes me so long. Sometimes I plan the post I'm about to publish, but other times I delay them just because it's so personal. It's letting people see me, and a lot of times that's been hard for me to do. So I feel that it definitely requires a lot of vulnerability and yeah, just a lot of courage. Like artists, especially, I know a lot of artists. They're it's just their courage is just it, it, it's admirable, and it's inspiring, and it just reminds us that we can do this, that we're able to turn our emotions into visual representations, like that people can see, that people can feel. And yeah, that definitely does take a lot of courage.
And we can give it a couple more minutes for if folks have any questions that they're thinking about asking. But I know at the yeah, after the first question, you kind of mentioned that you were working on other things beside your digital art like processes. What I guess what else are you currently working on?
Well, aside from digital art, I actually own my own clothing brand. It's KLB Clothing. It's it basically is to be keen, to be lively, and to be bold. That's what those letters stand for. And it's an art and fashion brand. where I put my art on apparel. And lately I've been tapping a little bit into other mediums that I could incorporate with apparel. So since that's an upcoming project, I can't say too much about that. But yeah, it's I've decided to take a mini break from creating actual art and dedicating my a little bit more of my time and attention to the business and the clothing brand. You all can definitely follow KLB Clothing on Instagram and Twitter. And you can check out the website. It's klbclothing.com. Um, on the site, you will currently find my first collection. It includes socks, hoodies, t-shirts. There's also an ongoing Zodiac collection. And as for now, I only have three, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. I'm very excited for Capricorn season though.
Yeah, I had actually looked at your clothing brand and I saw your socks, and it's like it's from the first series, right? It's very like abstract, like super colorful art.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked super cool. But so far there's no more questions. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes till we officially end. So if folks have any last minute questions, you can still ask them through the chat. But thank you so much, Maria, for showcasing your work with. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
of
for the
course.
opportunity. This was definitely incredible. I definitely stressed before this because I didn't know how it was gonna go, but I had a lot of fun.
And we hope folks who attended also enjoyed this art reception. I have a QR code of a survey for the cross-cultural centers use. And this is just so that it's like a feedback survey so that we can better our programs for the future. If y'all have any like critiques or comments that y'all want us to read, you can go ahead and use the QR code to do so. And we're going to be on for a couple more minutes for folks to do so, or if folks have any like last comments or questions that y'all would like to add onto the chat.